Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video on environmental liability insurance. Environmental risks are becoming more prevalent in today's world, and businesses are increasingly exposed to potential environmental liabilities. To help manage these risks, many companies are turning to environmental liability insurance. In this video, we'll discuss what environmental liability insurance is, how it works, and why it's important for businesses to have. We'll also explore some of the key considerations when purchasing environmental liability insurance, such as policy limits, coverage types, and exclusions. So if you're a business owner or manager, or if you're simply interested in learning more about this important topic, then stick around, and let's get started. What is environmental liability insurance? Environmental liability insurance is a type of insurance policy that protects businesses and individuals from financial losses that arise from legal liability cases and awarded damages as result these individuals or businesses being found liable for environmental damage or pollution. Environmental liability insurance can cover a wide range of risks and exposures, such as the costs associated with cleaning up pollution or environmental damage caused by an insured party, as well as legal expenses and fines resulting from violations of environmental regulations. This type of insurance is particularly important for businesses and organizations that deal with hazardous materials, such as chemical manufacturers, waste management companies, and energy producers, as well as for property owners and developers who may face environmental risks associated with their properties. The cost and coverage of environmental liability insurance can vary widely depending on the specific risks and exposures being insured, as well as the size and type of the insured business or organization. Many insurance companies offer customized policies to address the unique needs of their clients. What is environmental pollution? Environmental pollution refers to the presence or introduction of harmful substances or pollutants into the natural environment, including air, water, and soil, which can cause harm to living organisms and ecosystems. Examples of environmental pollution include 1. Air pollution. This is caused by the release of harmful gases and particles into the air from sources such as industrial emissions, transportation, and burning of fossil fuels. Air pollution can cause respiratory problems and other health issues in humans and animals, as well as damage to crops and buildings. 2. Water pollution. This is caused by the release of chemicals, waste, and other pollutants into rivers, lakes, oceans, and groundwater. Water pollution can harm aquatic life, make water sources unusable for drinking or recreation, and affect human health. 3. Soil pollution. This is caused by the accumulation of harmful chemicals and pollutants in the soil, which can harm plants, animals, and humans that come into contact with it. Soil pollution can be caused by industrial activities, improper disposal of hazardous waste, and agricultural practices. 4. Noise pollution. This is caused by excessive noise levels from sources such as traffic, industrial machinery, and construction activities. Noise pollution can cause hearing damage, stress, and other health problems. 5. Light pollution. This is caused by excessive or poorly designed artificial lighting, which can disrupt ecosystems and interfere with natural processes such as migration patterns of animals. Overall, environmental pollution can have significant impacts on human health, biodiversity, and the functioning of ecosystems, and it is important to take steps to prevent and mitigate pollution wherever possible. Types of environmental liability insurance. There are several types of environmental liability insurance that businesses and organizations can consider, depending on their specific needs and risks. Here are a few examples. 1. Pollution liability insurance. This type of insurance provides coverage for damages and costs resulting from pollution incidents caused by the insured party, including contamination of soil, water, and air. 2. Premises pollution liability insurance. This insurance is designed for property owners and covers damages and costs related to environmental pollution or contamination that may have occurred on their property. 3. Contractors' pollution liability insurance. This insurance is designed for contractors and construction companies, and provides coverage for pollution incidents that may occur during the course of their work. 4. Products pollution liability insurance. This insurance is designed for manufacturers and distributors of products that could cause pollution, such as chemicals or waste materials, and provides coverage for damages and costs resulting from pollution incidents caused by their products. 5. Environmental impairment liability insurance. This type of insurance provides broad coverage for a range of environmental risks, including pollution, natural resource damage, and cleanup costs. It's important to note that these are just a few examples of the types of environmental liability insurance that are available. The specific coverage in terms of these policies can vary widely, depending on the insurer and the needs of the insured party. Recorded examples of environmental pollutions. There have unfortunately been numerous instances of widespread environmental pollution throughout history. Here are just a few examples. 1. Deepwater Horizon oil spill. In 2010, an oil rig owned by BP in the Gulf of Mexico exploded, causing the largest marine oil spill in history. Over 200 million gallons of oil were released into the ocean, devastating wildlife and ecosystems in the region. 2. Minamata Bay mercury poisoning. In the 1950s and 1960s, the Chiso Corporation discharged large amounts of industrial wastewater containing mercury into Minamata Bay in Japan. This led to widespread mercury poisoning, which caused neurological damage, birth defects, and even death in local residents. 3. Love Canal toxic waste dump. In the 1970s, a neighborhood in Niagara Falls, New York, was built on top of a former toxic waste dump. Residents experienced high rates of cancer and other health problems due to exposure to the chemicals in the soil and groundwater. 4. Bhopal gas tragedy. In 1984, a pesticide plant owned by Union Carbide in Bhopal, India, released a toxic gas cloud that killed thousands of people and injured hundreds of thousands more. The incident remains one of the worst industrial disasters in history. 5. Chernobyl nuclear disaster. In 1986, a nuclear power plant in Ukraine experienced a catastrophic meltdown, releasing large amounts of radioactive material into the environment. The disaster caused widespread health problems and forced the evacuation of thousands of people from the surrounding area. These are just a few examples of the many instances of environmental pollution that have had far-reaching consequences. It's important that we learn from these disasters and work to prevent similar incidents in the future. How does environmental liability insurance work? Environmental liability insurance is designed to protect businesses and individuals from financial losses resulting from environmental damage or pollution caused by their operations or products. Here's how it typically works. 1. Policy purchase. A company purchases an environmental liability insurance policy from an insurance provider. The policy will outline the types of environmental risks that are covered, as well as the policy limits and premiums. 2. Risk assessment. Before issuing the policy, the insurance provider will assess the company's environmental risks. This may involve reviewing the company's operations, environmental compliance history, and potential exposure to pollution liabilities. 3. Coverage for pollution incidents. If the company is involved in a pollution incident that causes damage to the environment or third parties, the environmental liability insurance policy will cover the costs of cleanup, remediation, and legal defense. 4. Third-party liability. In addition to covering the company's own environmental liabilities, the policy may also provide coverage for third-party liabilities. For example, if a company hires a contractor to dispose of waste, and the contractor causes an environmental incident, the policy may cover the company's liability for the contractor's actions. 5. Coverage limits. Environmental liability insurance policies typically have limits on the amount of coverage provided. The policyholder will need to pay a deductible before the policy kicks in, and there may be limits on the total amount of coverage available for a single incident or over the course of the policy term. In short, environmental liability insurance provides protection against the financial risks associated with environmental pollution and damage. By having this insurance in place, companies can better manage their environmental risks and avoid potentially catastrophic losses. Sections of environmental liability insurance. Environmental liability insurance policies typically consist of several sections that outline the terms and conditions of coverage. Here are some of the main sections you might find in an environmental liability insurance policy. 1. Insuring agreement. This section outlines the scope of coverage and the types of environmental liabilities that the policy will cover. It may also specify any exclusions or limitations on coverage. 2. Definitions. This section defines key terms used throughout the policy, such as pollutant, environmental damage, or third-party liability. 3. Coverage triggers. This section specifies the circumstances under which coverage will be triggered, such as a pollution incident or the discovery of environmental contamination. 4. Policy limits. This section outlines the maximum amount of coverage available under the policy, as well as any sublimits for specific types of liability. It may also specify the deductible or self-insured retention that the policyholder is responsible for paying. 5. Exclusions. This section outlines any liabilities or risks that are not covered by the policy. Common exclusions might include intentional acts, criminal acts, or liabilities arising from the use of illegal substances. 6. Conditions. This section outlines the obligations of the policyholder and the insurer under the policy, such as reporting requirements for pollution incidents, cooperation with investigations or legal proceedings, or requirements for risk management and environmental compliance. 7. Endorsements. Endorsements are additional provisions that can be added to the policy to tailor coverage to the specific needs of the policyholder. For example, an endorsement might add coverage for newly acquired subsidiaries, or specify a particular cleanup standard to be used in the event of a pollution incident. These are just some of the common sections that you might find in an environmental liability insurance policy. The specific terms and conditions of coverage can vary depending on the insurer and the needs of the policyholder. Importance of environmental liability insurance to businesses and members of the public. Environmental liability insurance is important for both businesses and members of the public because it helps to mitigate the financial risks associated with environmental damage and pollution. For businesses, environmental liability insurance can provide protection against the costs of cleanup, remediation, and legal defense in the event of a pollution incident. It can also help to minimize business interruption and reputational damage, which can result from environmental liability claims. Additionally, some regulators require businesses to have environmental liability insurance as a condition of operating in certain industries or jurisdictions. Importance of environmental liability insurance to businesses. Environmental liability insurance is important to businesses for several reasons. 1. Financial protection. Pollution incidents and environmental damage can be costly to remediate, and businesses that cause such damage may be held liable for significant financial damages. Environmental liability insurance can provide financial protection against these risks, helping businesses to manage their environmental liabilities and avoid potentially catastrophic losses. 2. Compliance. Many businesses are subject to environmental regulations and may be required by law to carry environmental liability insurance. Having this insurance in place can help businesses to comply with regulatory requirements and avoid fines or other penalties for non-compliance. 3. Risk management. By purchasing environmental liability insurance, businesses can better manage their environmental risks and take proactive steps to prevent pollution incidents. Insurers may also provide risk management services, such as environmental assessments or compliance reviews, to help businesses identify and mitigate environmental risks. 4. Reputation management. Environmental damage and pollution incidents can harm a business's reputation and undermine public trust. Environmental liability insurance can help to mitigate these risks by demonstrating that the business takes its environmental responsibilities seriously and is prepared to address any environmental liabilities that may arise. 5. Competitive advantage. In some cases, having environmental liability insurance can provide a competitive advantage for businesses. Customers, investors, and other stakeholders may view a business that has environmental liability insurance as being more responsible and sustainable than those that do not. Overall, environmental liability insurance is an important tool for businesses to manage their environmental risks and liabilities, comply with regulatory requirements, protect their reputations, and maintain their financial stability. For members of the public, environmental liability insurance can provide peace of mind that they will be compensated for damages resulting from environmental pollution or contamination. It can also help to ensure that those responsible for the pollution are held accountable and that the costs of cleanup and remediation are not borne solely by taxpayers. Environmental liability insurance is important to members of the public for several reasons. 1. Compensation for damages. In the event of an environmental pollution incident, members of the public may suffer damages to their health, property, or livelihoods. Environmental liability insurance can provide a source of compensation for these damages, ensuring that those affected are not left to bear the costs themselves. 2. Accountability. Environmental liability insurance can help to ensure that those responsible for environmental damage and pollution incidents are held accountable for their actions. By providing a financial incentive for businesses to avoid environmental risks and to remediate any damage they cause, insurance can promote responsible environmental behavior and deter future pollution incidents. 3. Protection of public health and the environment. Environmental liability insurance can help to ensure that cleanup and remediation efforts are adequately funded, protecting public health and the environment from the effects of pollution. Without insurance, these costs may fall on taxpayers or may not be fully covered, leading to incomplete or inadequate cleanup efforts. 4. Access to information. Environmental liability insurance policies often require businesses to disclose information about their environmental risks and liabilities. This information can be valuable to members of the public who are concerned about environmental issues in their communities, as it can help them to better understand the risks they may be facing and to advocate for better environmental protections. Overall, environmental liability insurance is an important tool for protecting the interests of members of the public and promoting responsible environmental behavior. By providing a source of compensation for damages, promoting accountability, protecting public health and the environment, and increasing access to information, insurance can help to ensure that environmental risks and liabilities are managed in a way that benefits everyone. Conclusions. Environmental liability insurance is an important tool for managing and mitigating the financial risks associated with environmental pollution and contamination. Environmental liability insurance policies can vary significantly in terms of coverage, exclusions, and limits, so it is essential to carefully review and compare policies before making a decision. Environmental liability insurance is not a substitute for good environmental management practices, and companies should strive to prevent environmental incidents and minimize their environmental impact. The cost of environmental liability insurance can be high, especially for high-risk industries or activities, so companies should weigh the costs and benefits of insurance against other risk management strategies. In some cases, environmental liability insurance may be required by law, but even when it is not legally mandated, it can still be a prudent and responsible business decision. End of lesson. Up next. Cyber liability.